everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Comment Section. That's right, guys.
That's right.
We are continuing our celebration of the end of 2025, looking back at the media that came out this year. And this is the big one. This is the one some of you cinephiles have been waiting for, where we talk about our best and worst movies of 2025. That's right.
That's
Now,
right.
if I remember, these countdown episodes are your favorite ones of the year, right? Or
Yeah,
at least
they
one
are.
of them?
Yeah, they are. Well, yeah, I basically like all of them because I love lists. But,
Yes.
there's something about the movies list where I just, I really think about it, and I have, I think, a good solid top 5 movies of the year this year, and excited to talk about them. But actually the second time ever, because there was one year where I had, I think, 2 worst movies. I remember it was The Nun and maybe Insidious: The Last Key, which is still one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But I for the second time ever have a worst movies list, so I get to join you on that for the first time. But in spite of that, I really love my top 5 movies of the year, and they're all really solid. So that makes up for the fact that I did see at least one movie I didn't like. So
Yes. Well, so I'm not going to bury the lead. 2025 was not my favorite year of movies this year, to be honest. You know what? If we had done this show back in 2015, I would have said the same thing too, so who knows? But 2 kind of historic things are going to happen this episode. 2 like never before things that have happened on Comment Section.
yeah.
I'm going to say it right now. My worst of list is longer than my best of.
Wow. Okay, you've seen a lot of. That's impressive. I think you just get dragged to movies more than me, but also you.
Sometimes.
But
There were a couple in this I was dragged to.
Yeah. Yeah, because I typically have stayed. If I don't think I'm going to like something, it just doesn't happen. But that said,
Every time I'm hopeful. I'm like,
yeah,
I want to like it. Please.
yeah. My one in my worst movie of 2025 is something that I was expecting to like it. I thought I'd like it.
I know what it is, and I think about it a lot whenever I see trailers for the next one.
Yeah. So.
Yes. By the way, before we get started, we've never done this before, but I figured it's been quite a year for movies, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do we want to give some honorable mentions of movies we wanted to get to this year but didn't get a chance to? Because I do have 2.
That we didn't see. Sure. Yeah, I have. Towards the end of the year, I did start to go just like, I'm not going to end up being able to see all the movies I want to see this year. So, yeah, go ahead. You can give yours.
So, one that I want to see, and I do plan on trying to watch soon, is a comedy where I'm not the biggest live action comedy fan, but I saw the trailer for this, and the trailer made me laugh.
That's big.
Yes, and that is the new Naked Gun movie.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I have never seen a Naked Gun movie, but I just saw the trailer for this, and it made me laugh. Like, Liam Neeson delivering, let's look at what you've done here. Man's laughter. You mean manslaughter? Must have been one hell of a joke then. I was just like, man, this looks
good.
funny. And they do reference OJ because he was in the original trilogy. So, I wanted to get to it. I almost debated about seeing it in the theater. But if I remember correctly, I think Seth MacFarlane is a producer. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a fan of Family Guy. So that kind of was like, that's kind of one I have to wait for streaming for.
Yeah, that's rough.
So the other one is one from a genre I'm not a fan of, but everyone has been talking about it. And it's from someone who made one of the best MCU movies, and that's Sinners.
Oh, right.
because I've heard about it so much. It's the fact that it's Ryan Coogler. I'm like, maybe I'll give this one a shot. And I hear this one, very good chance it will be nominated for Oscars. So
yeah.
Even though I'm not a fan of the genre, I'm like, you know what? Maybe at home with the lights on.
Yeah, exactly.
During the daytime, I can turn the volume down when I feel there's going to be a jump scare because I can't stand that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, that's actually on my list of glaring omissions too. Sinners is a movie I really wanted to have seen, but I feel like that's going to be something that feels like missing. Like if I assume that it's as good as it sounds like it is. That actually reminded me as one that is missing. Another one that is like gonna be a glaring omission because I haven't seen it yet is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I have not seen that yet. It did kind of just come out, but
that's another one I was thinking of maybe too.
Yeah, and I mean I love the story of Frankenstein, and I tend to like anything Guillermo del Toro, so that'll be a glaring omission. And then also, this year I started finally I getting into the director Yorgos Lanthimos after I saw Poor Things finally. And that was so good. I was like, oh, I want to start watching all this director's movies. Came out with a movie this year called Begonia, and that won't be on my list because I have not seen it. So,
yes. So for those of you wondering, where are they? That's why they have not been mentioned.
Oh, and I should also mention this without getting into it because I'm sure we'll talk about it. An omission from my list in terms of like, why haven't I mentioned it? And people are dying to know why I haven't talked about it. I haven't seen Superman, so it won't be on my list.
Okay. Well, in a way, you're the winner.
Okay.
So, I know we'll get into it, but like, is that something you would consider actually watching?
Yeah, that like again, I've mentioned it before, but when I've heard reviews of it that are positive reviews, and the things that people say they like about it are things that make it sound really good. And then I'll like see the trailer and stuff, and I'll be like, I don't understand how that's in there, but I kind of want to give it a shot.
Okay. Now, you have not seen the Christopher Reeve movies, right?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You have to. I'm just saying. There's a lot of other Supermen.
There's other things
that like,
see, yeah.
You know, beloved. There's 70 years of other stuff maybe to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah. No, for sure.
All right. I'm just trying to make sure you don't waste your time.
Yeah. Understood.
All right, so I guess we'll get into our worst of list.
Okay.
So did you say one or two?
I have just one.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll kick off mine. I have top 6.
That's crazy.
I have 6 slots for my worst movies of the year. Now remember, I also said there's another kind of thing that's never happened on this show before.
Oh, really? I'm curious to see what that ends up being. Okay.
Yes. Some people will probably be like, oh, it's such a cheat, but it is what it is. All right. So let's get started then looking back at the worst that I had to sit through, so hopefully none of you also have to sit through. All right, my number 6 movie of the year, worst movie of the year is Disney's Lilo and Stitch. That's right. Now, I'll be honest. When I was putting this list together, because I was struggling for best, I almost put this in my best of. But then I sat down and was like, you know what? I don't really like this movie. So it ended up dropping here. So this was another disposable Disney live-action remake that is inferior to the original. And just like all of them, you'll watch it once and have no desire to revisit it. Now, when looking at when they recreated the scenes from the animated movie, it's okay. They did a pretty good job. However, some scenes don't make sense because they're missing context from the cartoon. Like, when I after I saw the live action one, I went back and watched the cartoon one. And when I saw the cartoon one, there were some moments like, well, this makes sense now because they cut out some parts from the cartoon that, whereas like moments in the live action one seem a little random.
Yeah.
But then when you have that extra detail from the cartoon, it makes more sense. And also, Pleakley and Jumba, who are a great duo in the animated film, are just annoying in this one. And I have to say, Zach Galifianakis, good actor. Completely miscast as Jumba. I didn't buy him at all as Jumba. And also, there are two creative choices in this movie that are made just to save money. And one of them was having Pleakley and Jumba in human form most of the movie. Not disguised as humans like they are in the cartoon. Literally, Zach Galifianakis and whoever played Pleakley.
I didn't hear that. That sounds dumb.
Yes, and I like the whole time I'm just like, you just did this to save money, didn't you?
Yeah.
You went all out on Stitch. But this is the part where you're like, you know what? Mickey Mouse, you gotta pinch some pennies, I guess.
Yeah.
The other one, again, I do think this was to save money, was that they have Jumba also serve Gantu's role. Because in the climax, there's no Gantu in this movie. Mm-hmm. In the climax, Jumba is the one to kidnap Lilo, and Stitch has to go rescue her. Again, to save money. So, also, let's get into one of the most controversial movie things of 2025, which is the whole Nani wanting to go to college.
Yeah.
It did feel a bit unnecessary and forced. And look, let's just be honest. These live action remakes, they're disposable movies. You have one job. Just follow the cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't you have just done that?
Yeah.
Because, look, you could say, well, I have something to say. Well, then go make one of Disney's animated movies. These disposable live-action movies, no one cares.
Yeah.
So, it did feel unnecessary and forced, although it didn't seem like that. When people were upset about Nani abandoned Lilo, when you see the movie, it's not that big a deal because she has a portal gun and you see her go visit her whenever she wants.
Oh,
so it's not that big a deal, but it is just kind of like a bit unnecessary. So after watching the movie, I thought it was okay, and then rewatching the cartoon, it became worse. And I guess the best way to describe it is it's just soulless. Like, it's just copy and paste from the original without any of the heart or soul of what made the original one work. So, my number 6 worst movie of the year is Lilo and Stitch. Now, I know you haven't seen it. Any thoughts about the live-action Lilo and Stitch and how you dodged it?
Well, I mean, similar to my thoughts of all the other live-action remakes, they do seem like generally soulless waste of time. And I don't like, particularly with Lilo and Stitch being one of my favorites, it rubs me even more the wrong way than some of the other ones. So,
you know what? Out of all of them, that one could have felt like it could have been the most like it would fit for a live action remake. But this one, it just, soulless and copy and paste. All right, so I guess I'll move on to my number 5 worst movie of the year, which is also, I'm sorry to say, the best superhero movie of the year. That's right. Congratulations to the Fantastic Four First Steps. That's right. So, if I could describe this movie in one way, it's boring. Was not expecting that, but the best way to describe this movie is that it's boring. Now, in the comics, Fantastic Four was really the first comic to have the Marvel formula of giving superheroes everyday relatable problems. This movie completely ignores that and feels like it's adapting a very dull episode of the Super Friends cartoon. And the movie just kind of quickly goes past the group's personal lives, and I'm a little surprised that I'm saying this. It focuses way too much on the superhero aspect of the characters. And one kind of scene that details the issues with this movie is when the world looks like it's going to come to an end. We see a scene where Ben goes to see a girl he likes that, he saw earlier in the movie. Now, it's supposed to be this big emotional, like, heartwarming scene that, oh my God, in his last moments, Ben is going to see this girl. But before that time, we saw them only share 15 seconds of screen time together, so it means nothing. Now, not to just compare and contrast to other movies, but in 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer, you have a scene where Ben tells Johnny that he wants to spend his last moments with Alicia. It actually means something because we saw them on screen together in multiple scenes. And yes, Fantastic Four 2 was a sequel, but we did spend more time with Ben and Alicia together in Rise of Silver Surfer. So when he talks about that, it actually means something. And you know how much they care about each other. And one of the fun aspects of the Fantastic Four in the comics and cartoons is the family dynamic where they often don't get along. You often see Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm get into it with each other. But here in this movie, everyone just gets along, everyone loves each other, and no one has anything interesting to say. Now, one choice that Marvel made was that they weren't going to do the origin story in this movie. But you might as well have, because my God, was there so much exposition about it. It honestly would have felt better to just do a 5-minute montage showing the origin story and just getting it over with instead of constantly monologuing about going out into space and getting the cosmic rays. And also, oh boy, comic book fans are going to get so mad at me. But I'm sorry. I love most Marvel characters. This movie is a prime example that Galactus is such a stupid villain. This giant purple guy who eats planets. He's such a stupid character. And one of the reasons why he's such a stupid character? Because he's so powerful that there's not much they can do. So, what are they going to do? You can't do a fight scene. So a lot of this movie, the exciting parts are Reed Richards at a whiteboard coming up with plans and writing formulas of how we can defeat him. And look, when you look at this movie, it's clearly very different from the other MCU movies. It's not like the Avengers or Ant-Man or something like that. And almost 20 years in to the MCU, I can appreciate them trying to do something new. But they would have been far better off just do a Fantastic Four version of the first Iron Man movie. Do a Fantastic Four version of Captain America the First Avenger. Because this just didn't work. And now look, when it came out, again, this is why I always say whenever someone's like, oh, this is great, I say give it some time. Give it some time for it to marinate. Because do you remember in summer 2019 when people were proclaiming, oh my God, Spider-Man Far From Home is the best Spider-Man movie ever? Remember that? Because guess what? You can go on YouTube comment sections and they're still there. There's still the comments there saying that. That's why I say give it some time. And just like we saw with another superhero movie and with this one, we're seeing as time has gone on, it has fallen a lot of people's opinion, and like the reaction is pretty mixed now. Mm-hmm. And when I look at this movie, it's a lot like the 2015 movie, where, the first Iron Man movie made someone like me who didn't care about Iron Man a fan of Iron Man. Thor made you care about Thor. Ant-Man made you care about Ant-Man. I can't see someone who has never read a Fantastic Four comic or was a fan or didn't see the original 2000s movies. I can't see someone going to this movie and being like, you know what? I like the Fantastic Four now. Like, I can't see this bringing in any new fans. So, it's a shame. It was the superhero movie I was most excited for, and, it still did end up being the best, I guess. That's saying something, but...
Yeah, by a technicality, yeah.
Yeah, so it sucked to see, but yeah, my number 5 worst movie of the year was Fantastic Four. And I'll try to, just so because I had this list, I'll try to introduce some kind of segment so that we can have a little conversation.
Yeah.
Again, you talked about you were interested in seeing Superman. Why, I don't know, but we're like Superman. Was Fantastic Four First Step something that interested you, or was it just like, I can kind of take a pass on this one?
I think that I don't know. I think I was vaguely interested as leading up to when it was coming out, as a potential new thing that would reinvigorate interest in the MCU in general. Once it kind of came out and I just didn't really hear anything else about it that interested me, I sort of just fell off my radar as something that I care to see.
No, what you said is true. Once it came out, no one talked about it. It just kind of came and went.
That struck me about it, yeah.
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 So, there we go. So, I guess I'll move on to my number 4 worst movie of the year.
Sure.
And that is another Marvel movie. Great job this year, guys. Great job. Kind of said something that the 2 best Marvel things were TV shows that got delayed from 2024.
Yeah.
So, my number 4 worst movie of the year is Captain America Brave New World, which was the lowest rated Rotten Tomatoes wise. It got the worst reviews of I think out of all 4 of the DC and Marvel movies, this one got the worst reviews. So, this movie is a perfect example of the MCU's recent struggles since Endgame. And you know what? Let's just get this out of the way first. When watching this movie, you definitely felt Steve Rogers' absence. The whole time, it overshadowed the whole movie. It was like The Office without Michael Scott. And there is a scene in this movie where Sam is at his lowest point. And he is wondering if he made a mistake taking on the mantle. And, spoiler alert, guys, what does it matter? It's the end of the year. If you haven't seen it by now, you don't care. Clearly, a lot of you don't care because it didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah.
And Bucky goes to see him. And you just watch that scene and you're like, if Chris Evans hadn't left the MCU, that would have been Steve instead. That would have been Steve Rogers going to see Sam and checking in on him and giving him an inspiring speech. Because that's what Steve does. Even when he was that group therapist in Endgame, it's not the super soldier that makes Steve Captain America. It's his heart. So, and if Steve had been there helping Sam, guiding him, remember that scene in Endgame when, Sam says, this shield feels like someone else, it is, and Steve's like, it isn't? Man, you really need something like that in this movie, and you felt his absence. And I think I have been debating with myself, honestly, an unhealthy amount of time I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Why did I feel Steve's absence in this movie, but it wasn't as big a deal in the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, which is a show I did really like.
Yeah.
It's my second favorite live-action Marvel Disney Plus show besides Daredevil. I think the difference was, in that movie, Sam and Bucky traveled around the world. They were just going everywhere, versus here, Sam is in one spot, and there's no reason for Steve not to go see him. And also, we did kind of have an update about where is Steve. We had that update of there's a conspiracy theory that he's on the moon, which I think in Doomsday we'll find out is true. But there's that. And also, and maybe this is just me, for me, mentally, the movies and TV shows of the MCU are separate. I don't really consider Falcon and Winter Soldier necessarily canon to the movies. I consider it separate. And, on the TV side, we still have Steve Rogers in the What If show, and also he appeared in multiple episodes of X-Men 97.
Mm-hmm.
So you still, TV-wise, you're still getting Steve Rogers. And let's talk about the other thing about this movie. In general, now, before leading into this movie, they're like, man, we're going back to Captain America the Winter Soldier. Remember how great that movie was? When you watch it, this movie just feels like a poor ripoff of that movie. Like, honestly, basic structure, it's kind of the same story, but worse. So it almost became distracting how similar the plots were, and you kept negatively comparing it to one of the MCU's best movies. And, in this movie, they expanded the role of Joaquin Torres, who is Sam Wilson's Falcon now. And I gotta say, the jokes he was doing, they tried to make him the comedy character. His jokes were so lame. Almost like dad jokes. Like, it was just like, who thinks this is... First of all, no dude, I don't know how old he is, maybe like 25 or something, but no one in their 20s talks like that. That's like 60-year-old humor right there.
Yeah.
Also, the sequel, this movie was basically a sequel to The Incredible Hulk. So now you have a Captain America movie without Steve Rogers. You have a Hulk sequel without Bruce Banner. So again, it's like, what were they thinking with this movie? And a lot of that stuff, a lot of the kind of wrapping up the threads from The Incredible Hulk felt very rushed and unearned. And in the end, what did we get? We got Captain America movie without Steve Rogers. We got Hulk sequel without Bruce Banner. And guess what it sets up? A Wolverine origin story. No, we didn't have any Logan in this movie either. So that's kind of what Captain America Brave New World was.
Wow.
Again, I think Anthony Mackie is a great actor. I love Sam Wilson in the MCU. I do think it was a mistake to pass the mantle and not just recast Steve Rogers. But, man, this movie just did not work.
Yeah.
So, I guess again, I'll try to open up some conversations to you, but seeing, now, obviously, worst reviewed superhero movie of the year, didn't do that well financially. Is this it in terms of Sam Wilson getting solo movies? Do you think they'll give another shot? Do they? Because this had very troubled production. Is this kind of it? Are they like, you know what? We tried, we failed. Sam Wilson can be in the Avengers movies, but we can't do another solo movie with him.
Yeah. I think that's it. Because, I mean, even from the outside, having not seen any of the MCU this year, I get this seems like the least interesting, the strangest entry of everything, especially with all the things that people are hyped for coming up. I don't know. This never struck me as something to check out, and I especially with recent news we've heard, I think that's probably it for solo movies.
Again, I wouldn't have seen this movie. Like, I didn't go to see it in theaters. I waited for it on streaming, but I wouldn't have watched it if I didn't like that Falcon and Winter Soldier so much. But it is what it is. At least the show that is 6 hours was good. That's the takeaway from it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll go with my number 3 movie again. My number 3 worst movie of the year.
Yeah.
Hello again, Marvel. What a year it's been. By the way, this is going to be a hot take. This is, to a lot of people, the best superhero movie of the year. And good for them. Good. I'm glad they liked it. This is just one person's opinion.
I can't even remember what the other Marvel movie was. Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter because it did terrible at the box office.
Oh, okay.
All right. My number 3 worst movie of the year is Thunderbolts.
Oh, right.
Asterisk. We learn it's called The New Avengers.
Yeah.
Really. That's its real title.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, kind of like Fantastic Four, it's boring. If I could describe the plot, it just wasn't interesting. Here's what it was: get inside building, escape from building, go to other building, have a fight in the city. I just told you the whole plot of the movie. I just told you the whole plot.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like watching this movie that had a story worth telling. It felt like, oh, we gotta make a Thunderbolts movie. Go do that. Not like, hey, we have this great idea for a Thunderbolts movie. It just felt like it was kind of made out of necessity.
Yeah.
And outside of Bucky and John Walker, who, obviously Bucky we know from the Captain America movies, John Walker we know from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, I didn't really care about any of these other characters. And after a couple of appearances, I gotta say, I know they want Yolanda, who is Natasha's sister, to kind of be like the new Black Widow. Nothing against the performer, I just don't find this character to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, David Harbour's Red Guardian has truly become one of the most irritating characters in the MCU. Like Jar Jar level. Every time he's constantly screaming and so excited to go into battle that please, Doctor Doom, please end our misery and make him shut up forever. And also, unlike the Avengers or the X-Men, this wasn't a team where it was fun to see the characters interact with each other. And oh boy, now we have to talk about what's next. Because we found out, since this movie, Jack Schreier, who directed Thunderbolts, has only directed until he's directed 3 movies. Now, he's done a lot of TV, but until he's done 3 movies, Thunderbolts is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We found out Marvel has hired him to direct the X-Men reboot, to which I go,
okay. Yeah. Because,
I'm not going to lie, I saw out of his 3 movies, I've seen Thunderbolts, and 10 years ago, again, 2015 was not a good year either. I was dragged to another movie he made. I can't remember. It had Carla Delevingne. It was like from the writer of The Fault in Our Stars. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
But I hated it, and it was on my worst of the year then too, before we even had comments section. So out of his 3 movies, I've disliked 2 of them. Oh, by the way, that one movie has like one of the worst casting issues I've ever seen. Let me see if I can look up what it's called.
I think you're thinking of Paper Towns.
Yes, that's it. That's it. It has one of the worst casting issues I've ever seen in the movie. Because you have these 2 leads, and they're supported by their best friends, but all of their best friends are clearly 10 years younger than them.
Oh, really?
And they're all in the same grade. So I've seen this like little kid talking to this grown man saying, well, what are we going to do about prom? It's important. I'm like, yeah, you are clearly not in the same grade. He could be your father for all I know. Like, it was awful. But I'm not going to lie. This news really killed a lot of my enthusiasm for the new X-Men movie. Like, again, maybe he can do something because X-Men is better source material. And look, you've got nothing against these characters. I'm just not a fan of them. But, like, with X-Men, you've got Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Professor X. You've got, outside Spider-Man, the best characters in Marvel. And I don't know, maybe there's that. But I am more nervous about the X-Men reboot than I was beforehand. So, my number 3 movie is Thunderbolts. Now, you have not seen this movie, so I'll ask you, was it a mistake to hide the fact that it's revealed that they're the new Avengers? Could that have helped if it was actually called the new Avengers, or would that have been a turnoff of like people being like, ugh, you're not the Avengers?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think I don't care about that as much just because that's mostly just a marketing thing. I honestly think it's kind of an interest, like, that's such a weird thing to do marketing-wise that I actually kind of respect it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not the Avengers. It's, it's like, at the end of the day, I don't think calling it the new Avengers would just I don't know. It just feels like it wouldn't change anything except maybe a few more people might buy tickets. I don't know.
In the comics, that's not even the New Avengers team. In the comics, the New Avengers is Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Spider-Woman, and Luke Cage.
That's pretty different.
Yes, the much more interesting cast.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's also like it being revealed that it's the New Avengers also doesn't change anything in terms of, because at the end of it, it's sort of like, well, am I interested in these characters or not? If I'm not interested, do I care if they're called the New Avengers?
Yeah, and I almost feel like I need to give a disclaimer ahead of time. I did not like the trailers for Thunderbolts. I planned on skipping it, but it did come out the first weekend of May, which is also Free Comic Book Day, which is when most Marvel movies come out. And I got very nostalgic, thinking, man, I really, really miss going to Marvel movies in May. And so when this one got good reviews, I didn't care that I didn't like the trailers. I went and took a chance, and I did not like it.
You were burned, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad.
Yes. So, by the way, before I move on, did you have you said you had an honorable mention. Is that positive or negative?
It's a positive.
Okay.
It's more like we'll save it for, after the worst movies.
All right. So, I'll move on to my number 2 worst movie of the year.
All right.
By the way, this was one I was dragged to.
Okay.
My number 2 worst movie of the year is Freakier Friday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. I have no idea why this movie was made, who it was made for, and why they didn't just dump it on Disney+. This movie represents everything I hate about live-action Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Unfunny jokes that build up to some corny, heartfelt moment. Now, for the last few years, we've been avoiding these type of movies because they've just been focusing on remakes of their animated movies. So it's been a while since we've had one of these, and I didn't miss them. And I hope they don't come back. As much as we all hate the live action remakes, please do more of that. Don't do more of this. Please let it die, because it's been gone for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Please don't bring it back. So, I did rewatch the original one. It's not that bad, but I just...
Yeah.
God, it just reminded me, I hate live action Disney so much.
Yeah, I remember liking the original or not the original, the
You didn't watch the 60s one.
Yeah, I remember liking the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday when it was on like the Disney Channel, but to me the release of this Freakier Friday is sort of like, we don't have to be that nostalgic over everything. Like, can we pump the brakes on, like, I mean, come on.
I mean, the thing is, what you just said, the people nostalgic for Freaky Friday have outgrown it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So
I'm shocked it didn't get dumped on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
this seems perfect for that.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it is. Yeah. I mean, similarly, I actually just yesterday, quick comment section news thing. I don't even talk about it that much, but one of my favorite sitcoms is Malcolm in the Middle, and I just saw the reboot trailer thing of it, I don't know, the trailer, we've said it before, like, comedy in trailers is hard. So I really don't have much of a take on it, but I'm a little worried that they did it without actually making sure they could get everyone for it. Well,
I'm pretty sure there's one character that we know for sure isn't in it.
Yeah, I haven't heard any news. Maybe it looked like Dewey wasn't in it to me.
Yeah, I think it's been confirmed he's not in it.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's something that could work if done right, if it's written well. But it was like, oh, and yet another nostalgia bait kind of thing.
Oh yes. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about Freakier Friday. I've tried to block it out, and I have until I brought it up today.
Yeah. Does that mean we're at our number ones now?
We are at our number ones. Now, I do almost feel like I need to give a caveat before we decide who goes next.
Yeah.
I did say that there's going to be a second thing that's never happened on this show, besides the fact that my worst of is longer than my best of.
Oh, okay.
This year, the title of Worst Movie of the Year, it was tough. It was tough.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, I really couldn't put one over the other. So the worst is a tie. It's a tie.
Didn't see it coming.
Yes. What a year it's been.
Wow. Well, I mean, to break things up, I could do my worst movie of the year first.
Okay. I know what this is.
Yeah, I've mentioned it briefly, but and mine's I know one of yours is going to be a controversial one, and mine is too because people seem to like this movie. Generally. And this is also, I so rarely end up actually in the theater not liking a movie. It's one of the first times I ever was like, I kind of want to walk out. I didn't, but it was it's like the only time that's ever happened. But my worst movie that I have of the year 2025 is 28 Years Later, the sequel to the sequel of basically the third in the 28 Days series. Because sometime last year or maybe it was even earlier this year, I don't know. Sometime not too long ago, I decided to rewatch 28 Days Later with new eyes. Kind of, it's this like interesting lower-ish budget horror movie that a zombie movie, considered one of the great zombie movies at this point, now that it's like 20, 25 years old or something. And the production of it is just really interesting. The fact that it's on such a human level is so interesting. Like, it's really focused more on this small group of humans that are trying to survive. It's kind of like built a framework for that sort of, I don't know. I think something like The Walking Dead is probably also more like, it's really about the humans, or The Last of Us. But, there's something very, actually, now that I've rewatched it, there's something very artful and interesting about 28 Days Later, and I do think it's one of the best zombie movies of all time. Great soundtrack, great casting, great pace and atmosphere. I saw 28 Weeks Later, the sequel that came out in like the mid-2000s back in the day, and I kind of remember not liking it that much and kind of being like, I'm over zombie movies now. I still think it's like not my favorite, but now that this new one's come out, I am forced to look at 28 Weeks Later with some generosity, because I genuinely think that this 28 Years Later is the worst one.
Wow.
And the sad thing is that I do see potential there. There's a reason why in my Letterboxd review I gave it 1.5 stars out of 5 and not 1 star. That half star is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It is really, there is some artfulness, some interesting movie making that's there. But and I guess that's what I'll get into. I went to see this after getting hyped over rewatching 28 Days Later and being like, oh, this is awesome, and it's back, whatever. I've heard good things about it. And I will say the first 20 minutes or so feel like it's building to something really cool. I think that all of the acting, the casting, like the performances are great. I have no problem with the performances. I think that the characters are interesting. The father character is a very complicated character who's like, he's a character on some level you might be forced to empathize with, but he's really like not that great of a guy in many ways. So there's like a very interesting character thing happening with that. And it's basically like, you're following a group that is secluded in somewhere in the countryside, like on an island, and an island free of zombies. And once every so often, when the tides are low enough, they cross over into the part of England or wherever where the zombies are, and the father is teaching his son like how to be like a survivalist in the zombie side of of things. And the first part of the movie, it sort of is almost like a quiet place, like post-apocalyptic, like seeing how people are living in this new reality, especially 28 years down the line. And I think it's really interesting, cool world building. This like needing to wait till the tides are low enough, but then you need to get back to the island before the tides rise, because then you'll be stuck over there with the zombies at night. And that was all very cool. But then the thing is that kind of ended after about 30 minutes into the movie, and then it became a different movie. Oh. Then it became, I guess some of the other stuff about it is sort of like, if someone really cared about seeing this and didn't want spoilers, I wouldn't want to say, but basically the kid feels kind of betrayed by his dad and decides to go out there on his own. And then we see the weirdest succession of writing choices I've ever seen. Just things where it's like, every now and then I forget and I go and double check who wrote the movie, and I go, wait, who wrote the movie again? Oh, right, the guy who wrote the first one. What happened? So, you know what? I'll just say what honestly was the part where I was just like, I love weird movies, but
look, it came out like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if we spoil it anymore.
Yeah. I just want to say the thing that happened that was like, this can't be redeemed anymore. This was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. There's a scene. There's a scene, and this is what I mean by just weird writing decisions. Like, how did that make it to the end? There's a scene where they find a pregnant zombie, and the zombie gives birth, and the baby isn't a zombie. And then they decide they're going to raise the baby. Like, that's so dumb to me.
You're like, that's not science. That's not how it works.
Yeah, the mother helps the zombie give birth, and they're on an abandoned bus, and she's helping a zombie give birth. And I really that was too far for me. There is another thing where in the latter part of the movie, there's this area they find called the Bone Temple. This is just temple made out of bones, and we get to where it's a very cool concept again. And Ralph Fiennes now shows up, and he's a really cool, interesting character, and then it starts getting into like a kind of weird that I could get into. But I don't feel like anything is really done with it. Like, the movie's pretty much over by that point. Then there's this weird sort of sequel bait thing at the end, which I think, it was almost certainly done tongue-in-cheek, but it really feels like in the middle of this very serious horror movie, the Power Rangers show up at the end. That's basically
awesome.
That's basically what it feels like. It really is, like I said, and there's some scenes in it too that are remarkably like well shot, like just cinematically, and so I come down to it. I really think it is just the script for me. Like, it is the screenplay that they landed on, like, is the core issue here. And it is so bad that it, barely gets a star for me, and it is my worst movie of the year.
Oh, yes. 28 years later?
Yeah, 28 years later.
So I guess the question now is, do you plan to see the sequel next year?
I do not. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, even though I just said that The Bone Temple could be interesting, I don't really... I'm definitely not seeing it in theaters.
Right. But do you plan to at all?
Maybe.
Maybe?
I think it's... I think I'm too bitter about it. I don't think I care about it.
Yeah, because now you've had 2 disappointing movies in this franchise, right?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, 28 weeks later is just kind of is what it is. It's kind of its time. But yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. If the next one is bad, are you just like, please stop, please don't make any more?
Yeah, I mean, I already feel that way.
Hey, I didn't need a third one to get me that way. I am here now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yes. So I guess I'll get into my absolute worst of the year.
Which is a tie for 2, right?
Yes, a tie for 2. What a great year this was. I say sarcastically. Okay, so I guess I'll go with the obvious one first. We'll end with a little bit of what could it be? I'll end with maybe a bit of a surprise one. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, we all know what this next one is. We know it. I don't need to go on a whole thing. Yeah. Sharing the spot for the worst movie of the year is Superman. That's right. Now, I don't know if you can tell. I'm so tired of this movie already. Just like the discourse around it. I'm so the Snyder fans and the Gunn fans fighting. I'm so over it. Mm-hmm. So again, I feel like I gotta give this disclaimer because fans apparently need their hands held. Because they're little babies now. Mm-hmm. To not the normal James Gunn fans. Because I don't know if you know this, but you know how there's regular Zack Snyder fans who just like Zack Snyder's movies, and there's these Snyder bros who constantly spam every goddamn Warner Brothers post and say, restore the Snyderverse. Which, by the way, in what world is the Snyderverse getting restored before Sam Raimi's Spider-Man verse? Just pointing that out there.
Yeah.
We've now evolved from just regular James Gunn fans who enjoy Guardians and Peacemaker and Superman to now there's the Gunn Bros. These little brats who are just as irritating as the Snyder Bros. But the difference, unlike the Snyder Bros, they're so insecure. They're so just like, ooh, everyone must love my movie. So, I feel like we got a handhold for this segment. Little baby. Film is subjective. It's art. It's subjective. Mm-hmm. Me talking about this does not invalidate your opinion. If you like it, good for you. I'm glad that this piece of garbage had to exist. There's someone who likes it. Now, also, let me say to the Snyder Bros, who are just like, yeah, boy, here we go. You know what the one good thing James Gunn did was in his time, and I mean that, the only good thing he's done was end the DCEU. That was the only good thing, because it has to be said, I thought people were overreacting when they said, all right, we're bringing in Michael Keaton as Batman in The Flash. And I was like, oh my God, that's going to be $1 billion right there. When people were reacting of like, oh my God, we want Michael Keaton, but not in the DCEU, and then The Flash flopped, even though Michael Keaton is the most beloved Batman of all time, that was the sign that the DCEU was past saving. So, there we go. So, let's get into why this movie was so atrocious. So, and by the way, I've already talked about why I think this movie, there was a whole video you can go find about why I was concerned about this movie. Mm-hmm. One guy in the comments section got very upset. Oh, very upset. But you know what? He watched the whole video, so good for you, bro. Yeah. Thanks for the
good
views.
Job, yeah.
Okay, so this movie is not only everything I feared when James Gunn took over the DCEU, it is the perfect combination of the worst of the MCU and the worst of the DCEU and the Snyderverse. It is the worst combined. Some people will say, oh, this feels like they just made a Marvel movie. Oh, no, 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 no. They took the worst of Marvel and the worst of Snyder and mashed them together to this piece of garbage. So, Gunn turned Superman into a James Gunn character. We all, this was Gunn's chance to really go outside his style. And a lot of people were hoping that it would emulate the Christopher Reeve era. But nope. James Gunn decided, I'm just gonna James Gunn Superman, who constantly makes these stupid choices without thinking of the consequences. And constantly, whenever he doesn't get his way, will scream at the top of his lungs. Because that's just what James Gunn characters do. However, if you thought that we were going all James Gunn, don't worry, guys, don't worry. This Superman can be just as mopey a little bitch as Henry Cavill was. Just as mopey. And, by the way, there's a scene that perfectly encapsulates how terrible this movie is, where there is a scene where Superman, once again, sitting in a chair, mopey. Oh, woe is me. And Lois goes to see him, okay? There's supposed to be this heartfelt scene. I don't know what's going on, because James Gunn decided, hey, in the background, I'm going to have the Justice Gang fighting some alien monster in the background, so the audience will be distracted by that the whole time. So, yeah, that was great. So, James Gunn made this weird choice to start the movie in the middle of the story, where so much time is wasted on the exposition of what happened earlier. Like, literally, do you remember that, during our CinemaCon special, the whole thing, that little montage we saw at the beginning?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the start of the movie. That's
Wow.
the start, and we have to have this whole exposition of, oh, Superman fought this guy. Why did he fight this guy? Oh, because Lex Luthor is involved with this country's government. It just was like, what are we doing? By the way, can we stop with the whole saying, like, whenever there's a weakness of this movie, like, oh, that's just making it like the comics, because that is so disrespectful to the people who make comics in art form. That's not how comic books start. Well, that's how it is. Sometimes you jump into part 3 of a story. That's not how it works, okay? In the day and age we live in now, you don't just start at part 3. You'll buy a trade, or you'll buy the digital copy, or you'll go to the backstop and where they keep the old issues and get the first parts of the story. No one starts at part 3 of a story. Even in the Silver Age, they didn't start in the middle of a story because those were standalone stories. So why on earth Gunn did that? I have no idea, because it was such a terrible choice. We are then given a weak story where Superman surrenders to Lex because Lex took Krypto. That's right, guys. Superman, Earth's champion, is going to surrender to Lex Luthor and let Lex Luthor do all this bad stuff because, oh my god, Lex took Krypto, and this is the way to save him. By the way, it didn't work because he still keeps Krypto in that prison. So what were you thinking, Superman? Oh, you weren't, because you're a freaking idiot in this movie. So Superman then spends a good chunk of this movie in Lex's prison that's in a pocket dimension. So, by the way, I'll bring this up. There was something that we talked about in our CinemaCon special where we got into more spoiler talk. And I brought up something that I said will never happen. Even James Gunn wouldn't sink this low. Do you remember? It was that Superman is upset that the term super shit is trending on social media, and Lex has a pocket dimension where monkeys are on computers typing super shit on social media. And I said, even as someone who does not like James Gunn, he would not sink to that level. But he did. That's in the movie.
You know what I realize? I'm realizing something is this has a lot in common with another movie, because it's the hero is stuck in not being the hero for a while, and there's a bad joke about apes.
Oh, I made that connection with you. You're right. That is true. Oh man, yes, that is a very good observation. I had not thought of that, but that is true. Yes. Oh man. Yeah, and you know what? I had to debate for a little bit about which is worse. I spent
Wow.
like a week thinking, all right, which one is worse because it could go either way. So he's stuck in that pocket dimension before being rescued by Lois and Mr. Terrific. And throughout the movie, Gunn constantly gives us his juvenile humor that makes watching this such an unbearable experience. Now, some people will be like, well, do you need everything to be the Dark Knight? No. I don't need everything to be dark and gritty or whatever. But look, I prefer we don't go super jokey. But like, if you're gonna be super jokey, Deadpool's actually funny.
Yeah.
The first 3 seasons of Harley Quinn are actually funny. This isn't. This is torture. I don't know. This is like humor for like stoners or the most annoying person you remember from middle school. That's basically what James Gunn humor is. And the script has such atrocious dialogue. Like, kindness is the new punk rock. What the hell is that? Kindness is the new punk rock? Give me a freaking break. Or Superman telling Krypto, what the hey, dude? Or unnaturally saying golly. And once again, third time in a frickin' row, we have another Superman movie that focuses on trying to make Superman the alien relatable and completely ignoring Clark Kent. By the way, I forgot to mention it earlier. This movie, I guess I did. This movie, besides the tone shift, very, very similar to Man of Steel. Very similar.
Interesting.
So just like Man of Steel, Superman spends most of the time wearing the costume and only has one scene wearing the glasses in the Daily Planet. You know, the relatable parts, the part where we're like, okay, this is relatable, like Peter Parker or, Steve Rogers or Tony Stark. One scene in the whole movie. So this becomes a bigger issue in the climax of the movie where Superman has to give this big impassioned monologue to Lex about how he's human too. And some people are like, my God, I got emotional during that. And I'm like, this is terrible writing because you didn't show it to us. You never showed us Superman being human. If that was supposed to be your whole thesis of the movie, you failed because you had him in the costume in a prison the whole time. You failed at showing him that he's human, so you had to do this stupid monologue. All right, now for acting, I didn't know how I would feel about David Cornsweet from the trailers because I didn't think from the trailers it was that great. I will say, in general, he's okay. He's okay. There was such a disservice to him. Yeah, that happened in the press tour. You had to stop comparing him to Christopher Reeve. That was such... You were setting up such unrealistic expectations. And I just gotta say, compared to some of the others, he's pretty forgettable. Like, he's not one of the definitive 5. He's not on the level of Christopher Reeve, Tom Welling, Tyler Hoechlin, George Reeves, and I'm gonna say, get ready to be uncomfortable, guys. Gotta separate art from the artist. Dean Cain. Again. Dean Cain, terrible person, embarrassment to the franchise. I wouldn't be so upset if I didn't think he was a great Superman. Because in real life, it was the exact opposite. But he still was a good suit. He still was a great Superman.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the fact that he's a terrible person. But
yeah.
But yeah, he just didn't get to that level. And also, look, Nicholas Hoult is a great actor. He was great as Beast in the X-Men movies. I didn't buy him as Lex Luthor. Now that's different from Jesse Eisenberg. When I watch Nicholas Hoult, I'm like, I just don't buy this. Versus when I see Jesse Eisenberg, I'm like, what are you doing? What is this?
Yeah.
So there's a difference. But I gotta say, MVP, in terms of casting, was Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. She was easily the best casting in the movie. And also, I'm blanking on his name, the guy who played Jimmy Olsen, perfect casting. Though Rachel, and I think his name is Skylar something, who played Jimmy Olsen, both MVPs. Both were great casting. Now, visually, this is such an ugly movie. This has really bad CGI with some moments that look absolutely terrible. And also, so, spoiler alert, it's been 6 months. Who cares? Spoiler alert, Supergirl has a cameo at the end. I absolutely hated it. I hated this version of Supergirl because if James Gunn's stereotypical male character is the whiny, crybaby man-child, well then of course James Gunn's stock female character is going to be the drunk, raging alcoholic because that's just James Gunn being James Gunn. So I hated it. And the reveal that Krypto was her dog the whole time. You know, by the way, we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, wait a minute. So how does this make sense? Because Superman's only watching him for a little bit. Why does he have some emotional connection? And you realize, because a lot of people are talking about, this is about Superman's dog. Well, it's not his dog. He's dog watching it. By the way, doing a pretty crappy job at dog watching when he's constantly putting Krypto in these dangerous situations. Yeah. I would not trust my pet with Superman. So, yeah, he's a terrible dog sitter. And, yeah, the big thing is that instead of just going outside of his box, James Gunn Superman. And I gotta say, throughout the movie, it felt like it showed James Gunn has read Superman comics, but he doesn't actually comprehend them. He doesn't get the nuance. He doesn't get the character. He doesn't get what's underneath the action. I feel like maybe he kind of half-reads and just makes up bad jokes in his head. And it's just an example of this is when he talks about in interviews how he struggled with the whole disguise of Clark Kent, about wearing the glasses, how people don't recognize him. Now, many times it's stated that Clark's disguise isn't perfect, but when you go into the comics or Superman and Lois, the reason why that disguise works is that people can't believe that something extraordinary like Superman is just this guy right in front of them. No one believes that this just seemingly normal, insignificant guy could be this amazing superhero. That's what makes the disguise perfect. But instead, James Gunn had to go back to some random comic from the 1950s that talked about how Clark Kent wears hypno glasses so that when you see him, you're not seeing his actual face. Which, by the way, in today's day and age, press pass or social media, the hypno glasses won't work for that. So there's a plot hole right there. This was absolutely a terrible start to the new DC universe and showed that James Gunn is the wrong person to lead DC. And, kind of like with Fantastic Four, we saw when it came out, you had people talking positively about that. The only ones I discount were when they said, was when people who just saw the movie, would say this was the best Superman movie ever. I'm like, you just saw it 5 minutes ago. Why don't you let it sink in before saying such things like that? But we've seen, like Fantastic Four, as time has gone on, as more people, and look, the reality is, more people are not going to the movies like they used to. So more people are waiting for it to go on digital or on HBO Max. We have seen, as time has gone on, the reception to this movie has become more mixed, like Man of Steel was. And some people talk about, it didn't make as much as Man of Steel. Same circumstances, I think it makes equal to Man of Steel. So, there's that. And I have to say this. I've had the unfortunate experience, because most of his stuff is Marvel and DC, I have had the unfortunate experience of seeing most of James Gunn's work. And I can definitely say James Gunn is the worst superhero director of all time. And I have never been more pessimistic about the future of these characters than I am now. Because I was not happy after Man of Steel and Dark Knight Rises. But when those came out, they were isolated to the movies. You still had on TV Arrow and Flash. You still had in animation Young Justice. and Green Lantern, and you also had the direct-to-video animated movies. But now everything is under James Gunn. And, we'll see what Netflix does if they make Pattinson the DCU Batman. This DC universe has completely lost me. I have no interest in Supergirl or Man of Tomorrow. And honestly, if you want to win me back, you're gonna have to do Batman's really the only thing I would consider going to the theaters for now. Like, you'd have to win me back with Batman. And I've said it earlier, I've officially given up.
Yeah.
I have, in terms of Superman movies, we've had 3 failures in a row. I have given up. Do not make another Superman movie. Superman, as much as I love the Christopher Reeve movies, and that first Christopher Reeve movie is the blueprint for all superhero movies, we've just seen he's not a movie character. He's the gold standard on TV. When you talk about Superman, Lois, and Smallville, I still think that Mark Waid's Superman Birthright is the code to how to make a good Superman movie, but no one has done it. It feels like no one ever goes out and pitches a Superman movie. It's always, we'll get the guy from X-Men. We'll get the guy from who wrote The Dark Knight. We'll get the director of Watchmen, the producer of, and we'll get Nolan to produce. We'll get the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what it is. Superman is always secondary. I just think he's a TV character. He should not be a movie character. Batman can do both, but he can be a movie character. Spider-Man is a movie character. Superman is not a movie character. It's time to give up. It is time to give up on a Superman movie. He belongs on TV because that's where he works.
Yeah.
And also, I'm so over this movie. I'm glad this will be the last time we talk about it, unless God help us, you decide to watch it. But I'm so tired of the discourse of this movie. But there is one irritating question that fans are always asking, and I think you know what it is. Because the question is, what's better, Superman or Man of Steel? Not, hey, how does this compare to the Christopher Reeve movies or Smallville or Superman and Lois? No. How does this crappy movie compare to another crappy movie? What's worse? What's better, getting your thumb removed or your pinky removed? What's the better experience? And I almost don't want to dignify such a stupid question with a response, but it comes up so much that it would almost feel like I'm doing a disservice by not saying. So I'm just going to bring it up once and then never again.
Yeah.
Both of these are terrible, terrible movies. And by the way, I've said before, they're actually pretty similar too, besides the tone.
Yeah.
But which one as an overall package is better? As an overall package, Man of Steel is better. So yeah, Man of Steel is better than Superman. Now again, if you're gonna watch Superman, go watch the Christopher Reeve movies. Go watch Smallville. Go watch Superman Lois. There's 70 years worth that we don't need to talk about these 2 stupid movies. But if I have to say, gun to my head, which one is the better movie, it's Man of Steel. Oh, yes, that's right.
James Gunn.
But if I had to say, yes, James Gunn just like forcing me to say, it's Man of Steel. Man of Steel is just overall the better product. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have not seen Superman. No. So, any thoughts about? About?
I mean, all
spoilers?
all I can really say is, I mean, I continue to think that, like, man, if I ever do see it, which is just a big question mark. very curious, like to try and. I mean, obviously, you want to go into everything with an open mind. I would want to go in and try and be like, what is it like? Because I've heard some good reviews where there's some specific things that people really liked about it. That I'm like, I kind of want to watch it and look for that.
I hear people talk about this movie makes me want to be a better person. I'm like, what? Where did you get that from?
Yeah, like the optimism of it seems appealing, but I'm just curious if I would even feel it there. And then, yeah, the other big question, I guess, would be like, maybe that would be the one thing, if I ever do see it, I can just quickly say whether I think it's better or worse than Man of Steel, because to me, that would be very hard for it to be worse than Man of Steel. But
oh, man, it's I'm not saying that they're so similar, but I'm just, if I had to say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. At least Man of Steel, you don't start in the middle of the story and have this stupid exposition.
Yeah, that I'm surprised it starts there.
Yeah. By the way, to mention another thing, I had to debate, what's worse, The Dark Knight Rises or Superman? Because they're both terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I will answer this question too. Between the two, The Dark Knight Rises is worse.
Yeah.
Because like a sequel can't like ruin other movies, but if you say The Dark Knight Rises is canon, it ruins that whole trilogy.
Yeah.
Versus Superman is an isolated bad movie unto itself.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, you heard it here.
Yes.
Shockingly, there's something tied with this, which is crazy. I do think, looking at the timer, I think the best decision, so that we don't have like a majority negative episode, would be to make this the worst of the year episode, and then because also I'm just like, we have to keep it under 2 hours, and then there would only be like 30 minutes of positive.
Yeah,
so
we'll speed past everything.
Yeah. So how about we just end this episode with your tied for number one, which I'm really curious about.
Yes, tied for number one. By the way, both of these are from titles from our modern versions of stuff introduced in the 1930s.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so my tied for worst movie of the year is Disney's live-action remake of Snow White.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes. This is... And now, look, I think the original Snow White is still one of Disney's best animated movies. This is, by far... I talked about Lilo and Stitch earlier.
Yeah.
Snow White is by far the worst live-action Disney remake they've ever done. It is truly awful. Half of this movie... Now, like we talk about how in the Disney live-action remakes, when they follow the cartoon, it's entertaining, it's enjoyable for what it is. Mm-hmm. It's the new stuff that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
In this movie, half of it is new stuff. Half of it is an original story where the prince is trying to find Snow White's father. That's right, guys. He's not dead. He's alive, and they're going to find him. Except, nope, they find out he is dead. He was been dead this whole time. What a plot twist. Plot twist upon plot twist. So once you get that reveal, you're like, what a waste of time that subplot was. Throughout the movie, it feels like it tries to speed past the regular Snow White story just so it can focus on this stupid and lame new story that they've come up with. And I gotta say, the CGI of the dwarves looks absolutely terrible. Atrocious. They look like monsters.
Yeah.
And unlike the animated film, none of those characters really stand out. They just are so bland, and they just, besides the fact that Dopey doesn't have a beard, you really couldn't tell who's who.
Yeah.
And acting wise, Rachel Zegler was good as Snow White, although she ruined that when she constantly in the press was saying things where you're like, what are you doing? Trashing the original one. Rachel, stop it. It got so bad that Disney executives had to fly out and say, please stop bad-mouthing the original. And look, we do have to bring up Gal Gadot's the evil queen. It did not work. And here's the thing. When it was first announced, we all thought, oh, Gal Gadot's the evil queen, that could work. But remember, half of this movie is original stuff.
Yeah.
Look, Gal Gadot was a good Wonder Woman. But let's be honest, she's not the best actress in the world. And when you watch this movie, everyone knew she couldn't handle this. Everyone knew that this was outside of what she could do as an actress. And I would almost say it was cruel to put her in this position knowing she couldn't handle it. Because I'm just like, what? So, yeah. So, Snow White, the whole movie is just a showcase of bad decision after bad decision. I had no idea that, in this age of Disney live-action remakes, I never would have thought that a remake of their first movie would be so cursed, and then to have the final product be so terrible. So, number one, worst movie of the year is a tie between Snow White and Superman.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of remarkable decisions in that one. I'm glad I didn't see that one as well.
Oh,
especially.
I wish I hadn't seen it. I wish I had that Men in Black neuralizer.
Yeah.
Wipe it from my mind, because, yikes, it was something.
Well,
by the way, clips that individual clips that will last on the internet a lifetime, where you're like, what? This was a real movie? It was. And some people actually paid money and sat through the whole thing.
Yeah. Remarkable.
I'm still waiting for an apology.
You should get a written apology.
I want an official letter from Disney with a little Mickey Mouse logo just saying, we're sorry. We know we screwed up. Here's 2 tickets to Disneyland. Sorry for your inconvenience.
Yeah, you really... everyone who saw it deserves that, but especially you. Because you had to review it.
Yes. Because, they knew. They tried to hide the reviews. They waited until the last minute because they knew this movie was bad.
Yeah. Man. Well, I do promise, I know that you were less thrilled by the year, but you do have some... How many did you end up having of favorite movies?
Well, once again, I have to say that there's another tie in my best of.
Oh?
So there are 3 slots, 4 movies in total.
Okay. Because I have 5 movies, and 6 kind of, if you include an honorable mention, and I have a lot to gush about with those. So I personally had, in fact, I'll tease this for watching the next episode. I genuinely think my number 1 movie on my list is I would call it one of my favorite movies of all time.
Whoa, that's
right.
Quite.
That is right.
The hype building,
and that's among 10, 20 movies or whatever. But it is. I still think it would be interesting sometime to just just look at our year-end lists of the last almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And just what have stood the test of time, or what are the best number 1 movies that we've had or whatever. But anyway,
yes.
So just a little tease of I in fact really liked some movies, even though I did have a negative experience, and you had many negative experiences.
Yeah.
I had a lot of movies that I really loved, and we're going to talk about in the next episode.
Oh, yes. So, guys, as you continue to talk about what was the best and what was the worst, never be afraid when you see a little rabbit hole. And when you have the opportunity, you must jump and always and forever continue to keep falling down that rabbit hole.